this middle ground, right, as I frame the goat, that middle ground is going to be where you need to be. Like you can have the days and the times of periods where it's like I need enough to make sure that we don't lose our residuals. And there's going to be times where I have to push the needle further than maybe I'm even comfortable with, or even to that extent, to where we're going to move things forward. I think the hard part is you look at the industry and you try to understand like where the majority of the industry is, whether that be by sector or if it's knowledge level or aggressiveness in training. And then you have to kind of like piece those things out on that aspect. And it's like, okay, if I have 40% that are all in that middle ground, but I also have 30% that are really aggressive on their training to where they're so siloed. And then I have, even if it's 20%, that now becomes a majority, over that 40. That's like the sharing factor of like, well, they probably cause more injuries than they prevent or reduce the risk of. Where it's like, I truthfully think there's an argument for both. Like there's so many people who act out of goodwill. They care about their job. They want to do everything right. And then there's a lot of people who just either they care too much about only what happens within their four walls, or they never do anything because they're too scared. Where that line truly lies in the sand, I don't know. I think that's only time will really tell. Like if you'd have to go full ends of the spectrum and then meet somewhere in the middle in a controlled experience to understand what it is. But it kind of brings up a larger question of like, should there be like a legitimate third party auditing system on, on I guess organizations as a whole with how they train? Are you training appropriately, and what does appropriately look like? I think you'd have to know what that looks like. Whether not necessarily a modality of how they train, but what does that loading look like? What does that time? What do those timing periods look like for those things? And be able to hold someone accountable other than just I don't want to say a victim, but a victim to public opinion on that.
Yeah. I tend to think that that wouldn't work super well right now within the third party, just because then I feel like you just run the risk of like having everyone do the same shit and
Yeah,
taking the autonomy from the coach. When you try to have more like bureaucracy, politics are going to play into it more. The head of whoever that third party is, are they going to be unbiased enough? Some people are going to like him, some people aren't going to like him. He's probably he or she, that person's going to have prior connections and is potentially going to be biased towards,
those prior connections.
yeah. And then it's like, you're not even, that takes the autonomy away from the coach. And like, they may not, and who's to say like there's a certain way you need to do things anyway? We all know that there's a ton of,
Yeah.
the principles usually stay the same, but the methods can vary a lot. So I hope it doesn't come to that.